I love how the Apostle Paul explained this more deeply over in Ephesians chapter 5, verses 3 through 12. Just listen to, with that idea of abhorring, hating what is evil, listen to how he says it here in Ephesians 5. Sexual immorality and all impurity or covetousness must not even be named among you, as is proper among saints. Let there be no filthiness, nor foolish talk, nor crude joking, which are out of place, but instead let there be thanksgiving. For you may be sure of this, that everyone who is sexually immoral or impure or who is covetous, that is an idolater, has no inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and God. Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of these things the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience. Therefore, do not become partners with them. For at one time you were darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. For the fruit of light is found in all that is good and right and true. And try to discern what is pleasing to the Lord. Now listen to this, verse 11. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. For it is shameful even to speak of the things that they do in secret. Right, that's pretty clear, isn't it? It says that Christians, we should hate evil so much that we avoid it. That we should be known for how much we don't even consider being a part of those kinds of things like sexual morality, greed, crude joking. That we revile it so much that we avoid it altogether. Why? Because those are examples of dark things. And we aren't in darkness anymore. What does it say? He's made us light in the Lord. So if we're light, not in darkness, we walk as if we're in the light now. We walk as children of light. So we don't participate. We don't even want to participate in the things of the darkness. That's why the searching question that I asked myself all week, in light of all of this, just like that teacher at recess, the searching question I asked was, how am I compromising just a little bit? How am I compromising just a little bit? I know how to avoid the big stuff, but just a little bit, meaning like instead of hating any evil that still remains in my heart, I'm pretty content to let it simmer, let it fester in there, dabble in it a little bit here and there. Like, how am I compromising just a little bit? Like, I know I'm positionally holy in Christ, but how am I not living that out progressively in my daily life? I'm just content to stay where I'm at. Why am I doing it that way? See, listen, if we were having a personal conversation and I asked you, have you compromised your faith? I mean, most of us would say pretty strongly, quickly, no. I'm a believer. I know I'm going to heaven when I die. I know I have a relationship with God. I'm forgiven of my sins. I haven't compromised my faith. But if I asked you, have you compromised just a little bit? Would that change your answer? Like if you just sat on that question, maybe you'd write this down and do this later. If you just sit on that question for a few quiet moments, and we'll do this again a little bit later, but if you just sat there and reflected and asked God, a whole lot would rise to the surface, wouldn't it? If we're honest, if we just take Matthew 5 through 7, Jesus' famous Sermon on the Mount, and just read through that prayerfully, asking God, show me any wicked way in me. Don't you think there'd be quite a few things start to get exposed in our hearts that we just let slide and slip through, and motives that are bad, and we see all that, and we start to let that rise to the surface. It's there. Like, again, I saw it in myself this week. I know that I do this, but I fear that we allow a lot more in our lives than we're readily willing to admit. Like, I fear that we don't hate sin as much as we say we do. See, here's what we're doing. Humans, we are so prone to set the standard from the bottom up. And so what we're doing is we're comparing ourselves to a murderer or to an adulterer or to Hitler or whatever, and we look at that, we're like, man, we're okay. I'm not as bad as they are. Look, I'm closer to straight vertical than they are. Like, I get. But when we look to Jesus and we see then how far from vertical that we really actually are, how much we allow in our lives, it's not of God. If we really just align ourselves and examine ourselves according to his standard, we are so far off. So then the question is, what do we do with that? Like, what should we do then? Well, what did Romans 12 say to do? Abhor what is evil. Like, when we see how far off we are, what do we do with that? We recommit to hating our sin like God hates our sin. And I'm talking about all of it, not just the big ones, but all of it. Not just the actions, but even the thoughts behind the actions. Like, that's what Sermon on the Mount is so powerful to do. When Jesus talked about, he didn't just talk about actions, he talked about the motivations behind the actions. He talked about the reason you do fill in the blank. That's even what we must hate. And we have to recommit to this. We have to crush the lust in our hearts that causes us to take a second glance at that woman. We have to die to the desire for a greater reputation that causes us to lie to people to make ourselves look better. Like, we have to cut off that relationship that is stirring up thoughts of gossip and bullying in your life. Cut it off. And again, we've got to be active in this because, like John Owen said about 500 years ago, he said, you've got to be killing sin or it will be killing you. This is a war, right? We can't just sit back and say, well, it will be fine. No, in God's power, we have to commit to put sin to death, to kill it in our lives, to hate it, not just try to manage it, not just try to tame it, not put it in the closet, stuff it back there so nobody sees it or that we hope it doesn't destroy us. No, we can't do that. We must kill it, even if it costs us financially or professionally or socially. It might cost something, but we must kill it.